You want to be? Okay, cool. All right. Well, I am a Starkville. I'll give you just the basics. I am a Starkville native. Grew up here. Went to Starkville High School. Went to Mississippi State. Got a bachelor's in business, BS in business, and was headed to law school at Ole Miss. I had taken the LSAT. Passed it, oddly enough, and was going to matriculate into Ole Miss to go to law school, and got a call from the Navy that they were going to do an experimental aviation program. And so, knowing pretty comfortably that I could do law school pretty much anytime, but I couldn't go fly for the Navy anytime, I opted for that route. And so, flew for the Navy for approximately 6 years and a few months, and then went to fly corporate. When I was getting out of the Navy, I went into the Navy for aviation, thinking that I would be an airline pilot. That was the goal. That was one of the things that everybody did at the time. Most of the aviators would be coming from one of the military services. That's where they got their training and their hours needed for Delta or whoever to hire them. And they would then go on and leave the military and then go into commercial aviation, go into the Delta, United, American Eastern at the time. And that was the source of pilots for most of the commercial carriers. And so I went into the Navy under an experimental program, which fortunately for all of us, it was successful. So they continued it. They didn't drop it. So, and that's why we have people today who are still serving in that capacity and are doing things like flying fighters, which there's benefits to being the first in a program, but there's also drawbacks. I mean, I would have loved to have flown fighters. I mean, and now women can, but you know, at the time they were still considering that something that we were not prepared to do because we weren't allowed in a combat role. And so that legislation changed over the years, and we're now capable of doing that. So anyway, I flew for Delta the Navy for 6 years and a couple of months. Got out, I had several offers from airlines, and to come, interview with them. And I did those things. And then about the time I chose not to go for another tour, I was going to go to Spain. Actually, rode to Spain and fly some. The airlines quit hiring, so I found myself without a job and leaving the Navy, or subject to leaving the Navy. And so I did kind of a blanket. I went to the library and I pulled out all the corporations that had over 500 million in assets. These days that's nothing, right? But at the time, 500 million in assets meant they probably had an aviation department. So I sent out a whole bunch of letters to all of these corporations, and oddly enough, Atlantic Richfield called me. This was in January, I guess, when I was supposed to leave the Navy in February, and interviewed me and then offered me a job. So I left the Navy, went down to Dallas, Texas, and flew for Atlantic Richfield for 5 years while the aviation industry, the commercial aviation industry, everything goes in cycles, right? So they quit hiring for about 5 years, and so I flew for Atlantic Richfield for about 5 years in Texas. So I was in Dallas, and then ended up actually buying a home and living in Addison, which is where I became a mayor the first time, and spent my time flying for them for a few years. And then when the airline started hiring again, I interviewed with Delta and then got hired by them. And as being from the South, being a Southern girl from Mississippi, the Delta Airlines was the one I wanted to be in because that's kind of hometown territory. They started in Monroe, Louisiana, and home based in Atlanta, and they were the ones I always saw. So I had my dream job. I can remember driving down the road going, man, pinch yourself, girl. You have just fallen into the best deal. So anyway, flew for Delta for 19 years, and then had every intention of staying until I retired from there. And at the time, you had to retire at the age of 60 from commercial aviation. That has since changed. But at the time I was going through this, 9/11 happened. So suddenly, aviation wasn't nearly the fun it used to be. Things changed. Airlines came close to going bankrupt. In some cases did declare bankruptcy, and out of that what they ended up doing was cutting retirement, cutting pay. My pay was projected to go to about 50% of what I had been making. My retirement was going to change dramatically, and I was at a point in time where I looked forward, and forward didn't look as though I would be able to recoup what I was going to lose if I continued with Delta, as much as I loved flying and still love flying. So I made a financial decision to retire, take my retirement, and go do something else. So that was in late 2004, early 2005. So I actually retired. Actually, it was Thanksgiving Day of 2004. So it was right to the end of that year. And in the interim, having always been a Starkville girl, my father was a very wise man, and he invested well. So I'm very fortunate. He owned or developed a lot of apartments, rentals, and so I came home to manage those. He died in 2000, and I came home to manage those regularly between the time he died and I retired from Delta. So I was making 2 trips a week from flying. I'd go fly for 4 days and come do a red eye and then drive from here from Atlanta to Starkville. So I got a little bit of wearing. So anyway, I put all that together, and I ended up retiring back here to run my business, my father's business, now my business. I'm an only child, so I get to do it all. But run the business, and when I came back into town, Mayor Camp. Anybody here living in the Cotton District certainly are familiar with the Cotton District. Anybody rent from Mayor Camp? All right, I see a head nod there. He ran for mayor for the city of Starkville. And so when I came back into town, during all this interim of stuff, you do all kinds of things. And the beauty of an airline job, guys, if anybody's interested in being a pilot, the beauty of an airline job is that you can fly for 3 days on or 4 days off, or 4 days on and 3 days off. And depending on how you got it, you can fly 12 days a month and be done. So if you maintain enough seniority, I did a lot of that 12 days a month and was off. And so in the interim, I did things like be a mayor, serve on a city council, go to law school, get a master's in public administration. So, you take advantage of the things, and I love to learn, and I love to be a part of a learning environment. So I did go back to school, and I told my father back when I was in school that if he'd just support me, I'd just go to school the rest of my life, because I just love going to school, learning things. So anyway, came back, and when I came back, I had a master's in public administration and a JD. So I had a joint degree that I got from Georgia. And Mayor Camp, when he got elected, was looking for someone to help, because he didn't know anything about public administration. Love him, but he didn't know anything about government. So he needed a CAO, and the board, who was the majority of his supporters, who also got elected at the same time he did, agreed to hire someone, and that someone ended up being me. So I got to spend 4 years with Mayor Camp. We were yelling at one another regularly, but we got a lot of stuff done, which was fun. And then when he got defeated, he ran again, he got defeated by Parker Wiseman, who was also a Starkville graduate, an MSU graduate, had a law degree, and I think he got his master's too, come to think of it. We had similar credentials.
His master's at UNC.
Yes, thank you, yes. And his law degree up at Ole Miss, so that's absolutely correct. He and I had similar credentials, but he was, like 30. I was 130 by comparison. But anyway, it was very interesting, and Parker was very good. He got elected and knew what he wanted to do, kept me on as CAO, so I got 8 years with the city of Starkville and was pretty intimately familiar with what was going on for a period of time. Like all things associated with politics and government, at the end of that 4-year term, he decided to run again, and I had sufficiently angered people to the point that let me back up with that a little, because this is interesting. His first term, we had a very progressive group of aldermen. Okay, so you know how pendulums swing, right? So the pendulum had been here. Starkville had always been doing, and I hate this, the least with the most. That's an expression that came from a guy who worked for the Mississippi Development Authority down in Jackson. He came into Starkville, looked around and went, man, y'all got more assets than anybody I know, and you do the least with it. Horrible narrative, getting away from that. But nonetheless, when this board with Parker got elected, the pendulum swung out this way. And so we went very progressive. We got a whole lot of stuff done. We built sidewalks. We concentrated on bike lanes. We changed zoning districts to the T districts, which are what incorporates college, University Drive, Main Street, Russell Street, all the things that you're, Lampkin, all the things that you're seeing where all that heavy development that is going on, all of that came by virtue of a change in zoning. And so what you're seeing, a lot of that change, people don't like change. I'm an anomaly. I love change. So I embrace it. I think it's a positive thing. You know, you don't change just for change's sake, but you change because things are always changing. You want to control how they change, but you just bear with it, folks. Highway 12, who's gonna pitch something at me over Highway 12? Nobody? Nobody's raising their eyebrows or going boo, hiss, or anything over Highway 12 in the medians? Man, y'all rock. You got a good class. Go figure. Okay. Did I hear a dissenting word back there? Oh, Blackjack's not in the city, y'all. It's not in the city. Ain't. After the roundabout, Blackjack is not in the city. It's in the county. I got no control. I cannot spend city dollars on a county street. So there you go. Talk to your supervisor, Joe Williams. Anyway, point being, we were very progressive. And when you do that, when your pendulum swings this way, it's got to come back and modulate. And that's what happened for that next election. So we do wholesale elections. We got 7 board members, and we elect or not elect 7. So when it changed, we had a change of 4. And out of that 4, it ended up with a majority, and I got fired, which is fine. You know, that's part of that change. Their loss. I spent the next 4 years dogging them like crazy and writing in the Starkville Dispatch and talking about things that I thought were important about Starkville and the things that I wanted us to do. And so when Parker decided not to run after his 4 years, I saw no one else stepping up to do what I thought was important to be done. So I decided to run for election. And oddly enough, by the end of it, I won by 5 votes, which tells you what? Votes in a local election are incredibly important, particularly in this community. So who in here, who's registered to vote?
In Mississippi or in general?
Just in general, registered to vote. You go, guys, see? It doesn't, I mean, I would love for you to register to vote in Mississippi, but wherever it is, you need to be registered to vote, because that is one of the things that's going to make a difference. I mean, and in a local election here, 5 people. I've had several people come to me and go, my entire family voted for you, and we're the reason you got elected. And I'm going, yes, thank you so much. Absolutely, your family members are why I'm here. But it matters, guys, it matters. And that's true of most elections, even if even if the span is huge, even if it's presidential election. Everybody wants to vote for president. Of all the places it matters the least in terms of quantity, percentage, et cetera, it would probably be for president. You need to do it. Don't misunderstand. It's important and you need to do it. But the local elections are the ones that really impact what you're doing, and that's on a daily basis, because that is what you see. Filling potholes, fixing water leaks, picking up trash, finding the lost dogs, all the things that touch you daily are local. They're just local. And what Tip O'Neill said, all politics are local. He's long since dead, but the message lives on. So that is kind of in a nutshell who I am, why, and where I am. And I am here because Mary Carol asked me. I think did you have a speaker who quit on you?
I might have.
I'm not your first choice. I'm heartbroken.
Always.
That's okay. Anyway, I will come on a moment's notice. I love talking to folks, so I'm happy to do that. And I keep my notebook out because I intend to learn from y'all, and quite seriously. One of my goals, we did a ribbon cutting today, which y'all did not cover, by the way, and you and I are going to have words about that because it was a big deal. It really was a big deal. I don't know. You may be able to get some footage from MSU because they did do something with it.
We did not have staff to cover
Okay.
it, but what we would like to do is go back in and actually do a story, not just a ribbon.
Yeah, that'd be great. It was really nice, though. We had a good probably 50 people there for this ribbon cutting. Were you there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Now, wasn't it
I
cool?
had to go for David Garraway.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had to cover
I saw him.
thing for
Yeah.
class and stuff.
Cool. Was it not a good deal?
It was.
And it's an awesome space, y'all. Anybody not been downtown? Thank you very much. Oh, please say nobody's been downtown. I mean, everybody's been downtown, right? Yes, okay. 929, if nothing else. Okay, the space is very near 929, the coffee shop.
Oh, okay.
See, you're right in my sights, darling. You shake your head, you nod your head, I got you. 929 is a coffee shop, and I know there are a whole lot of folks that spend some time down there. But anyway, it's very, very close to there. So we had that ribbon cutting this morning, and Dr. Keenum was there, and the dean of the business school was there, Sharon Oswald. Jeffrey Rupp was there, who's part of that entrepreneurship. And it is an opportunity for entrepreneurs to come downtown and work on whatever their idea is. You know, it's kind of like a makerspace place, and then they sell some products. Apparently Dr. And I can't remember her name, and shame on me, I'm sorry. Do you remember the name?
I remember her name.
Who made the coffee. She did a blend for Dr. Keenum. I got the Keenum blend, which is half decaffeinated and half regular. And so, you know, it's really cool. But those kinds of things. Hagen Walker, y'all familiar with Hagen Walker? Glow, not familiar. Okay, Glow is the one. I love it. I get feedback here. Glow is the business that started at the Entrepreneurship Center here at the business school. He developed little cubes that you put in a drink, and when it hits the liquid, it glows. So he sold it. He's got like $1 million in sales. He sold it to Las Vegas. I mean, can you figure? You drop it in there. The bartender knows when your drink is empty, and they come make a little more money. Pour you a drink, make a little more money. But he's been very successful, and he's turned it into bath cubes, that sort of thing. It's really cool, but he's very successful. And he's kept his business in Starkville. And one of my goals is to make sure that we have all of you brilliant people who are going to come up with these wonderful ideas, and who are going to hire people, and who are going to go somewhere and take those ideas and make all this money, want to start your business here in Starkville and want to stay in Starkville. So how do I make this a place where y'all want to be? And that feedback that I get from you guys when I talk to y'all is, what's important to you? Scooters, line bike scooters, bike paths, sidewalks, the smart bus system, having a place to go have coffee, having a place to work out, having a place to shop. Don't talk to me about Target. We can't get one because we're not big enough yet. But, you know, that's part of what we're working on, is how do we get bigger and better and be a place where y'all want to grow your business. So there are all kinds of things that we're trying to do. What do you want? What do you need? I've heard movie theater with a bowling alley joined, Olive Garden, you know, all of those places. No, shaking her head on the Olive Garden. See, I love their bread and salad. What's wrong with an Olive Garden? I'm sorry? A Cane's? Yep, I've heard that one. I've heard Whataburger. Yep, heard Whataburger. What did you say?
It's a bowling alley.
Bowling alley, yeah. IHOP. Okay, well, I haven't heard IHOP. Well, yeah, I have too. I apologize. I've had IHOP tweeted at me. That's exactly right. So, but where are these, you know, how do I make these things cool for y'all to want to be at? So, where's I think my phone is in my car, or else it's back in the office. I'm going to have to go back and find it, because I had a video that I was going to show y'all. Hagen Walker, who does these little glow things, okay, he came to me and he said, I've got about 150 feet or so of LED lights, a strip of LED lights. Did I send that to you?
Sent it to
Is
me.
that cool or
Yeah,
what?
I love it.
Do you have it on your phone?
I do. I don't know how to
Access it? Get out of here, woman. Anyway,
access it. I don't know how to. Let me see. If
he did a video for me of this long strip of LED lights, which can change colors. It can go rainbow. It can do this, but it's intended, the way we put it in, is to follow a pedestrian along the bridge, so that as you walk, it lights your path. Now, tell me that's not cool. And so he has installed that, and fortunately, I can ask our electric department to hook up a meter. So it has power, and he is finalizing it, I think, this weekend. But he's the guy who, you know, is the most wonderful of corporate citizens, who you want more of. But he has come to me and said, you know, I want to be part of the community. How can I help? This is a cool idea. What do you think? I'm going, yeah, that rocks. So from my perspective, I want y'all to start at the bridge and walk through the Cotton District and all the way down to downtown, and find yourselves with something to do and something to look at and something interesting, so that it feels like it's all part of one continuous flow of things going on. And so if you don't take the bus, is that a hand up because you're asking a question? Give me just a second. If you don't take the bus, or you don't take a scooter, or you don't take a bike, you know, I've walked it. It's easy to walk. But the pedestrian bridge is kind of like one of those barriers. But if you got a lighted path, is that not cool? Okay, yes ma'am.